Okay, so today I'm gonna be solving this Leetcode daily problem. It's an interesting one because it requires some custom logic and like compare sorting. So my approach would be something like the following. So it's gonna be to maintain this online offline array where it's gonna be size of n, where every index value is gonna tell me if the person is online, it's true, and then if the person is offline, it's false. And that's gonna be the index of the person, so it's gonna start from 0, 1, and then up to n minus 1, and the entire size of this array gonna be size of n. So it's gonna be online, and then the final mentions array, and it's gonna have like counter for the mentions for this for the person. Say like initially number of mentions is like 0, and let's say we have number of users 2. So there are 2 users here, so they're gonna be online at the start, in the beginning, and then number of mentions is gonna be 0 and 0. And then what I really want to do, so there might be message type, there might be offline type, and might be all, and might be here. And my suggestion is to add another event called online to the events on, and then the time gonna be, so if offline time gonna be ti, then online time gonna be ti plus 60 based on the task statement. So whenever user goes offline, it comes back online. It comes back online in a timestamp I plus 60. So that's gonna be my approach. So first of all, I'm gonna order all events based on the timestamp, and then I'll make sure if there are a couple events, say ti, one we have offline for the user 1, and then let's say at ti we have all, message all, and say before that we had event ti the same time, and then message here everybody who is online. And then in this case I want to order those events because they have the same time. I want to order those events in an order that offline or like online they come first, and then all follow up. So here and all, and message event, they're gonna follow up this offline and online, so that I record the status before the notification happens in the ti timestamp. So that's gonna be it. So I'll do that run. Let's see if gonna be what's gonna be. So gonna be n equals number of users, and then I'm gonna have events equal events for e in events, and I want to just convert the middle e value to the integer, because it's a timestamp. It's currently in a string. It has string format like this. this timestamp, I wanna convert it to integer so that the follow-up comparison will be easier. And then I wanna sort it. I wanna sort these events based on key equals key to compare, something like that, and compare function, and that's from func tools import key to compare, and then I'm gonna have this function def compare, and then I'm gonna accept two events, e1 and e2, and then I'm gonna return the integer value. And let me like show it how it works. So I'm gonna have print, and then I'm gonna print the sorted events. Events, so print format, then events, and then events here, and then I wanna let's write the compare function. So if e1 1 is equal e1 e2 1, then I wanna check if the e1 0 equals online, or like that's initial is gonna be just offline message. Offline, I'll just return -1. Otherwise, so that offline gonna be always in front of the chunk with the same of events with the same timestamp, and otherwise return e1 1 minus e2 1. And then let's check how it's gonna work. So let's return empty. Key to CMP. Let's check. I guess it's key to CMP, something like that. Func tools. Let's search it up. Key to compare to, okay, it's called CMP to key, compare to key. Okay, so here I should do also E0, and then like just copying the event E2. So what we got? Let me check. So events sorted already, and then we sort by timestamp. This one is not that like visible that we actually doing that I'm doing any kind of work. And so let's do events this one. Let's check something like two. Let's say test case. Let's do the same events, but I'm gonna mess it up. Like I'm gonna move this at the front, and then let's run it and see that this sort is actually working. So it's working. So I can continue. So next, my idea is, as I said, to add first add for every offline event, add online event with TI plus 60. Second one, sort events using custom comparator. The third, go through events sorted events one by one, and then record changes in online offline status array, and then also update mentions, like number of mentions array, and then in the end for return final mentions array. So that's gonna be a plan with 4 items. So let me code it. So I already have sorted events, but I need actually to add offline event, like online event. So I'm gonna go for in events. So say to add equals like empty list, then online events to add, and then for events, in events, if e1 is equal offline, I'm gonna go and add online events to add equals e1, so it's going to be online, and then the timestamp going to be so here e0, and then the timestamp going to be e1 plus 60, and then the ID going to be e2, and then here if e1 event name is equal offline or e10 name is equal online, and then I'm gonna do something like this. So I wanna do events expand, and then online events to add, and then this one should be done before. Yep. And then I'm gonna go for in events. I need to check, okay, what's the initially I'm gonna have this array of online equals true, and then the set gonna be n, and then mentions is equal 0, and then the dimension of that, the length of it is gonna be n, where n is number of users. And then I'm gonna go through the events, and then if e0 is equal message, I'm gonna go and do mentions, and then here, so the ID gonna be, the message gonna be just user ID, so I need to split for user ID in e2.split. I'll do that. User ID equals int user ID, and then here starting from index 2, because it has like prefix with the ID letters. Then here I'm gonna parse the user ID, and then how is this possible? Message here. Message all. Okay. So if e2 is equal here, do something, and then if e2 is equal all, then do something, and then else I'm gonna do this one, and then is already gonna be this one, and then I wanna have this mentions user ID plus equal 1. Then here I wanna mention only users that are online. Then I'm gonna have this user ID gonna be for I in range, and if online I'm gonna have this mentions I plus equal 1, and then the same logic here, but removing this mentions. Removing this online check, and then here something like this, and then if I have something like if e0 is equal offline, I'm gonna have this user ID equals equals e2, and then integer here, integer, and then I'm gonna have this user ID, and then online user ID gonna be false, and then if the e0 is equal online, I'll do the same, but reversed. So this one gonna be true, and then in the end I want to return mentions array. Okay, so let me check if I followed the plan and if there are any issues. For every offline event, add the online event with timestamp plus 60. So I'm doing it. This one here. Then I'm sorting elements using custom comparator. I'm doing sorting here. Then I'm going through the events. Go through sorted events and by one record change one by one record. and then changes in online, record changes in online status, number of mentions. Okay, so I have this message event, and I have like offline and online events. If it's like message, I check if it's here, if it has flag here on index 2, and if true, I go through the all users, and if the user is online, I'm updating mention for that user, and if the flag is equal all, I just gonna go through all users and update the mentions. And if there something else, meaning that there is a list of IDs, something like this, I gonna split it and then parse the user ID out of suffix of the every chunk separated by white space, and then I'll check I figure out what the user ID, and I will increment the mentions. And then if it's like offline, I will update the online status to false for this user, and if it's online, I'll update the status to true. This should work in theory. Let's run and compare. Extend, I guess extend. Okay, so I need to Okay, so continuing solving this problem. So there is a runtime error somewhere, and supported operation for the minus, string, and int. So let me do binary search for this problem to figure out what the issue is. So I assume the issue might be somewhere in comparing. Okay, let me just print the events here. So I'll return just empty list, and then I'm gonna print events. So it should be integer here, but it's not. Let me check this one. Compare. Oh, E1 offline. E1, E2. Okay, let's print E1, and then E1 here, and then E2, and then E2 here. Okay, so it's like E1 has like online. Okay, so online, and then I wanna extend online events to add. Oh, okay, I wanna online events to add, and I wanna that append extend probably, or something like that. Extend. You know what? Let's say append. Okay, append, then append. Extend is like where. So online is not correct. List index out of range. So it should be somewhere events, this one. Okay, so not append, but extend. So here just extend, because there's gonna be array of arrays. Yeah, here extend, and then here append. Yeah, this one doesn't have exception anymore. So if I run this code, let's run again. Oh, I have print here, that's why it's hurting performance. So if I do just this, it's 40% percentile, and like memory setting. Like for sure I can submit couple times to check if it's really that one. Statistics. Okay. Seems working. So the right key inside here for the online, for every offline event, I'm adding online event 60 seconds or whatever the unit here, 60 units later than offline, and then I'm using custom comparator function, and then I'm making sure that offline and online events are happening before the message event. Because I want to record the state and update the state before I process the message at the same timestamp. And if the timestamp is different, I'm just gonna order it like ascending, in ascending order. So like going through this algorithm, so I have this events generated, and then converting the timestamp to integer. Then I'm for every going through the array of events, and for the every offline type event, I'm adding online event 60 units later, and then I'm re-adding this. I'm adding the offline online events that were created to the all events list. And then I'm sorting this list using custom comparator. And then I'm creating state variable online true false flags for every user and number of mentions for every user. And initially, like online, everybody is online, and number of mentions is 0 for every user. And then I process events one by one and check what's the type of the event, if it's like message, if it's offline or online. If it's offline, I just flip the flag for this user in an online list. And if it's online, I do the same, flip the flag. So I can generally like, or yeah, it might be like 2 offlines in a row or something like that, and I don't want to like rely on that too much. So that seems like the branch. And then for the message, there might be 3 types of messages. notification for those users that are online has like last flag equals here. In this case, I check like whatever user is online, I am updating the mention for the number of mentions for that. And then if the type of the message is all, I'm adding like mentions to all users. And if the type of the message is other, not here, not all, it means that it has a list of users to be notified, and they are gonna be space separated, white space separated. And here I'm splitting them. I'm figuring out what the ID for every user, and then I'm updating the mention. So the important thing here is also that any user, regardless of the state of the online state, if I'm explicitly mentioning him in a message and have like this third type of message where like the ID just in a list of a third argument or like third element, I don't care if that user is online or offline. I'm still updating the number of mentions. That's going to be it, and then in the result I'm returning the mentions array, or like mentions counter array. So what they suggest in editorial, something like this. So instead of like having this, so first of all, I see there is a lambda that doesn't have the comparator. Comparator format, it's more like one event format, and then if it's message, I assume it should be the last one in the order, and generally it should be ordered by the, I guess it's like gonna be ordered by timestamp, and for the same timestamp I'm gonna have true or false depending if it's like the type is message, and if the type is message, then I'm gonna be the last one, because this expression gonna be in this tuple gonna be timestamp and then true, and the previous one gonna be timestamp and this one flag is false. So like offline message is gonna have this, gonna be processed first, and then there is a next online time for the every user, and every time there is like here I'm checking next online event online time, and then if it's like less than card time, then I'm incrementing number of mentions. Yeah, that's also okay without, though this approach doesn't need like extra event and all the processing required for that event. Yeah, and like it's a little overhead. I assume that I wonder if I really need this next online and then enumerate it there. Oh, it's because here, and it should be everybody who is online should be mentioned, and then we are going through this next online array, and it's kind of, yeah, it's more optimal that solution that I suggested, but still fine. Yeah, so they are suggesting something like, so if I do remove this one, e1 is equal offline, just remove return -1, and then instead of like removing, instead of adding this one events offline, I'm gonna have next online is equal like 0 multiplied by n, and then I'm gonna check for events in I. If the event is equal here, I'm gonna go through the range, and then next online I if next in line I is less or equal e0, e1, then I can update dimensions. And then in the case there is offline event, I just need to update next in line for the user equals e1 plus 60. And then this should be it. And then what's to add? This one, I don't need this one. Okay, let me run it. Submit. Yeah, this is kind of more elegant way to account for the next online event, or like for the offline events, because instead of like adding the new event into the events and potentially increasing the time complexity for the sort, I can have just this next online array, and like regardless of that, I need to check every user, and then if it's like online or not, and this check doesn't give extra overhead comparing to a previous solution, and like extra events were giving overhead because it was just a new record in the events, new records in the events that were increasing the number of elements in the array to be sorted. So that's why it's a little bit less efficient. It was a little bit less efficient solution. So that's gonna be it.